So we are here with the Mega CD mainboard from a PAL unit. I had been working on this board previously, so I pulled one of the word rams off here, IC8, so I knew that was bad, that has to come off. This probably has to come off too. So the symptoms with this board were when the boot screen would come up, you wouldn't see any animation. So yeah, one of these chips was basically bad, and I believe this one probably has the same problem with its cache, with the cache chips over here. I had been working on this board, I left some flux on it, and now it's really kind of gritty. It needs a really deep clean. So you can even see here, I reflowed some of the chips and I didn't do a great job of it, so I'm going to have to come back in here with the iron and do a lot of cleanup, and then just really an excess of alcohol, then a bath of alcohol. A lot of flux ended up inside underneath these chips because I had been reflowing them and such. So yeah, no, I'm going to have to get Captain tape on here now and kind of clean it all up. So cover as much of this connector. In the past I've put tinfoil and Kapton tape, but I think just the Kapton should be fine. But I need to get these off, and as I'm going, as I'm working, I'm going to be cleaning as well, because yeah, it's not in great shape. When I put it away, it had like flux residue on it, so a lot of dust has now adhered to that, and it's just, yeah, it's nasty in places, especially when you zoom in. But yeah, wait, I get something to put under this and we'll zoom in and get those SRAMs off. So you can see there's a lot of flux and crap and excess solder on stuff, so yeah. We're going to start with these two. I'm going to just take them off for now, and yeah. So as you can see there, they don't look great, do they? There's a lot of muck around here, so this needs to definitely be cleaned up. But before we go removing flux, I need to wick those pads. Is that heating? That's doing the job. Try and keep this centered for you guys. Should really put on some fresh flux, because that burnt stuff really isn't doing the job. These Model 1 boards they're not making any more of them, so better to err on the side of caution. Yeah, I shouldn't have really bothered with that, but anyways, look, it's done. Okay. I don't know, I mentioned it in previous videos, but I guess I'll mention it here again. These are buffers, these SRAMs. They act as buffers for the CD drive. So as the CD is streaming data in, they get buffered here and then passed off to the rest of the system. So if you have a SEGA Mega CD that is reading audio just fine but just won't play any games, any data, then it's more than likely one of these chips is gone. Now, I removed both of these chips because you can't actually probe the Mega CD when you've got a Mega Drive sitting on top of it. So you'd have to create some kind of way of making a custom connector to go from here to the edge of the edge connector on the console itself. So yeah, it's doable, but I'm going for the shotgun approach here. Plus I knew that it was nasty under there, and I'm glad I did, because when I was lifting those, or especially when I was more so when I was wicking the old solder off, I could smell that electrolyte, so obviously it had gotten in there. Boards that can seem visually fine can often, you know, your eyes can betray you when it comes to leaky caps and kind of contaminated boards. I've learned that the hard way fixing these Mega CDs. You look at something and you think, oh, there's nothing wrong with that, compared to like ones that are visually in a bad shape. You know, they can often be easier to fix than the ones that have like damage that's hiding from you, or that isn't visible to the eye. Okay, so I've changed the tip on my iron, and I've got the chips I need, which are MB8464A/10L. That's better. You know what? This tip was never designed for what I'm using it for. So yeah, I'm gonna just tack on the other one, and then I'll go back to the Kester tip. It's far better for this stuff. It's fine. There we go. Yeah, it's much easier with this tip. It's pretty much perfect straight away. that. That's sweet. So this tip is really good for drag soldering. So, what about cleaning up these guys? I might actually do that. Let's go over the top of this one, just to see. Yeah, there's a funky smell off some of this. Yeah, that's electrolyte I'm smelling. Oh, I've got to decide now. Do I just clean it? I'm not happy about there being that electrolyte in that solder, because even if it's not, even if it's okay now, that doesn't mean it's going to be okay in the future. That's going to continue to... Okay, it's dissolved, it's kind of in the solder, it's not in as high concentrations, but it's still going to do its nastiness. You know what, I'm going to take these off. Okay, so that's the hot air done. Let's get in here and clean it all up. Oh, I got a little bit of solder there. Didn't mean to do that. I'll have to take that off, otherwise my chip won't sit down correctly. So I got a lot of the flux off with just the cotton buds, but I want to get in there now and give it a decent clean. So I'm going to spray a healthy bit of this IPA on it. Get in there with the toothbrush. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I've reflowed all around these chips and over here as well. I had done it before, but they weren't looking great. This tip is really good for distributing the solder. So yeah, I think they were uneven. Some pins had more solder on them than others, and that, so it was nice to kind of just tidy them up, I guess. So yeah, with that said, let me get out the solder station so we can remove this package here, the Toshiba word RAM. We get that off. We'll do a bit more cleaning once it's off, and we'll put 2 new ones on. There's so many legs on this thing that when the electrolyte leaks out, it has loads of places to go and cause you all kinds of troubles. So that's why these go so regularly on these boards, because these 2 caps here leak quite a bit, because as I'd imagine, this word RAM handles a lot of the graphics for the main ASIC here. So they're being power cycled a lot more often than these, so they leak first. They're probably the first caps to leak on the board, and yeah. Yes, these through holes areas really get it doing from that crustiness. So hopefully now I've flooded them with good fresh stuff, so hopefully it'll clear. My doubts though. Might have to, yes, I might have to get the vacuum to some of these. Okay, so that's all our through holes unblocked. Now we need to kind of give this a bit of a cleaning. And while we have the chips off as well, I'm going to do a continuity test. So for the one that's missing the kind of part of the pad of the through hole, I put a bit of flux there. Hit the pin. Just try and flow it through. Flux would get through, but no, I don't think it has. Yeah, we'll come back to that and inspect it afterwards. I'll do the other pins. So we'll give it a test. Firstly, I'll apologise for the CRT and the mismatch in the refresh rate of the TV and the camera. Yeah, nothing I can really do about that. I'm using a CRT basically because I want to troubleshoot this and not like a scaler and a capture card setup, because that's, you know, there's software and bugs in that pipeline. So simplify, CRT, console, keep it simple. So we're going to boot, try and boot just with my daily driver Mega Drive hooked up to this. Now this, just to remind you, this Mega CD console is actually kind of one that I scavenged for parts for other consoles. So I mean, there's bosses missing or cracked in the plastic case. You can see I've taped in this little cover bit. So, you know, there's a lot that could go wrong with this. Now, I know the drive works and we've repaired the main board, the power board and the audio amplifier board should be fine. But if something goes wrong, we're going to know really fast. So we're going to boot and see what happens. I have a Japanese EEPROM in for the BIOS. So, we'll see. Okay. So I'm just going to seat the Mega Drive a couple of times, just in case it's the edge connection. Okay. So, to figure out what's wrong, I have my EverDrive in there, and we're going to go to the 240p test suite, select and start. Okay, so hardware tests, SEGA CD test, BIOS check. Okay, that doesn't look. So I have the original BIOS in here at the moment, the PAL one. CD BIOS, unknown BIOS, please report CRC. Memory viewer, wait, let me just see. COM registers. Okay. Yeah, I think it can't actually read the BIOS properly. So out of curiosity, I decided to take that board out of the parts console and put it into my daily driver Mega CD console, and there you go. But as you can see, the access light is blinking, so there's still some, like if I hit reset here, we'll get no green LED and the drive isn't opening. So there's obviously some trace damage or via damage somewhere. But I mean, got rotation, scaling, music. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So what I think actually happened is, if you look at this, I have like a question mark A. That's because I think maybe some of the pins on this aren't great. I had my doubts about it before, so that's why I put the question mark on it when I was fixing another console. I've actually labelled all these as good or bad, or whereas this one I left a question mark on. So maybe there was a problem with that. I'll check that out. But yeah, I mean, the repairs worked. We know that we're getting the ASIC doing its thing, so we know the graphics memory is working. We have no way of testing CDs yet until I can get it to eject. So with the ready light not coming on, that suggests that, yeah, it's not detecting the disk. So let me have a look at that. So, EverDrive back in, we're going to load up some test software. I've already run the 240p test suite and everything passed. Gens isn't very useful. Mega CD test is actually quite useful. If we go to the first verificator, this was written by Crix. So you can see CDC regs error 01. I think that comes up regardless. But you can see CDC, so CD controller initialization error 01. So that gives us some info. Now, and I just needed to restart because I'm going to go to the other one, the Mega CD test.bin. This is interesting because it'll run through everything. So program RAM, bank 0, it's going to go through everything. So it's pinged all those out, and now it's running through its test. They should come up as okay. So sub word RAM test. These should be all fine. Verify code interrupt 2. Do you see it's flipping there? It's trying to push it and it keeps coming up failed. Now in a working console, while that interrupt is being flipped, the ready light should be flashing and it's not. So that tells me that there's something wrong with the CD controller. Now if we look at my working board here, yeah, can you see that Sanyo chip there? I have a feeling that might be gone on this board. And hopefully it's just the Sanyo chip and not this SEGA 315 chip, because that would be balls. So I had been blaming the Sanyo LC8951, this guy. It's an error correction thing for CD drives. Yeah, it's not that. It's fine. I did some kind of pinging out around the pins, and it was fine. The real problem is over here with this bad boy, the actual main ASIC. I had noticed some crustiness on some of the pins. So yeah, cautionary tale. And so I put some flux on there, and I was just running over it with the iron. Some of these pins started to actually, group together, like two pins, it like just snapped together, and I was like, oh shit. And then that didn't do the pads too well. One completely lifted here, and this doesn't look too smart. Yeah, they don't look great. So I don't have like magnet wire, enameled wire, small enough to do this repair. And if you notice, like with a test lead like this, a multimeter lead like this, it's just too big for stuff like this. I could like jerry rig something together, but I needed wire. I needed some more solder. I'm running low on solder wire, so I got some more multi-core on the way and a few other kind of bits of flux and stuff like that I was running low on, kind of consumables. So I was putting the order in. So I've ordered some multimeter test leads, and I've ordered some enamel wire. So I should be able to do this repair properly. Now I could have jerry-rigged a kind of like a needle on with crocodile clips onto the end of this, but you know what? I'm going to need decent probes for testing in the future, especially on small surface mount stuff. So yeah, I have an order in for all the kind of stuff I need to do this repair on the ASIC. So it'll probably spill over into a part 2. Yeah, so with some of those vias actually underneath this chip, I'm going to have to get the schematics out, ping it all out, come up with a battle plan. So hopefully when my order from RS Components arrives and I have test leads and all the materials I need to do the repair, we'll get cracking. But for now, I guess we're going to call that part 1. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll chat to you all again.